Whew. Good day, everyone. This is Latanya. Welcome to my channel. And this is the 10th video in response to the Economic Ninjas Challenge for those who are 50 years and above to get on YouTube and share their experience. So this is going to be a little different. I know that I wanted to share with you the challenges that I had with that and why I chose to move forward. You see, because when he issued that challenge, it wasn't the first time I'd heard or sensed that I needed to move forward in that. It was actually a confirmation that I needed to move forward in a manner that had been different than I'd moved in previously. If you've watched any of my or one of my previous videos, I spoke and try to encourage those who have multiple talents and gifts to not be daunted or, challenged. Challenge is not the word. To not be afraid of people when they can't handle the number of gifts or talents that you have. To not be afraid of their faces. And I must tell you that that knowledge, that encouragement came from experience, because I'm one, like probably quite a few of you that are watching, that have been blessed with multiple talents and gifts. And when I would meet people in different environments, it essentially blew their mind that I wasn't just one or two or three-dimensional person. And it became problematic when they felt that it was just too much for them. Notice I say for them, and it was just too much. So what I did in response, I regulated my skills. And generally, if the time we met had nothing to do with other skills or aptitudes that I have, you wouldn't know about it because I wouldn't bring them up. And then later on, I know people would ask me, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you did that. Oh, yeah. Why didn't you say anything? Well, I had learned that it could pose a challenge. But the reality of it is that whether you say it or not, those who are envious or jealous or who have not found their potential and are working in that, those type of feelings, it's going to come to the surface anyway, because there's something they know that there's more. And whether you express it or not, an envious and a jealous person just simply does not want you to does not want you to get any accolades, does not want you to even progress in your area of expertise and giftings and talents, even if it's not theirs. So all these years, I have learned to serve quietly and in the background. Now, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, because I do believe in order to be the leader, you need to learn to be the servant of all. Because if you end up being a leader and you do not have a servant mindset or a servant heart disposition, you become a tyrant. a self-serving tyrant. Boy, we know a lot of those. I know I've met a lot of those in my life. And I do not want to be classified as that. So serving in itself is not a bad thing. But here's the click. When God tells you it's time to move to the front, and you're looking at him like Gideon, like, wait. Can we just continue this? And he says, no. It's time for you to be in front. So if you saw my first video, the fear was not, and by the way, fear is a spirit. The fear was not that I couldn't do this. I'm well aware of the levels and aptitude that he has gifted me with. The fear was that I had to change how I was doing it. Change. And it was uncomfortable. But then you notice, as I continue to do these things, it's like LaTanya. You just have to be who you've been purposed to be. And if you continue to disregard the instruction, then it becomes disobedience. Woo! We don't want that. So, and if you'll notice, my videos are not, they do not follow one behind the other. They're not in line. Well, what I mean by, I don't have 10 days of 10 concurrent video recordings, because I was met with a lot of warfare and challenges. So let me tell you, if you're met with warfare and challenges, just keep going. I determined I was going to do this. One, because I'm called to do it. I've been prepared to do it. And really because God has led me to do this. I'm instructed to do this. And I kept getting confirmation after confirmation, challenges after challenges, to say, do this. And so here I am. Let me let you in on something else. When I began doing that, I was at the latter part of a 70-day period of homelessness. God had me in a wilderness. Now, some people say, immediately you go, what? What did you do? All of these things come. I tell you what, those who love him, who serve, who really desire to lead, or who have been gifted to lead and you have no desire to lead, you will go through deserts and wildernesses. You have no choice in the matter. They will come. But the beauty of it is that he protects you and provides for you while you're in this wilderness. See, I've been a teacher for a short stint. I've worked in the legal field for almost 30 years of my life. And from that teaching aspect, I learned when I taught my 8th grade, I taught vocal music, and then I taught my 8th grade ELA class. Now, the principal secretary came and got me and said, hey, we need teachers because we lost 25 teachers. And I thought I was coming back for music. And she said, no, we have that. And I said, okay. And you look, forgive me if I'm just going, because I'm just talking to you now, okay? So just roll with me. If we go in a ditch, just go in a ditch. Eventually, I'm going to come out on the other side on the curve, and you're going to be out there with me, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. But she said, well, Williams, we need an 8th grade ELA teacher. And I said, I'm not certified to teach 8th grade ELA. And her response was, Williams, you can teach anything. She was right. And I told her that because I've been gifted with the gift of teaching. So when I rolled into that class, 8th grade ELA students, it's a different animal altogether. But you can see the smile. I said, oh gosh, I learned so much from them. I asked all of my class these two questions. Give me an example of an adjective and what I said, pronoun. It was either adjective or pronoun or adjective and preposition. I'm thinking it was pronoun. In less than 5 students out of all the classes could answer that. Now, when I went to, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold too. See, I told you I was challenged during this time. And I went to some people who were probably considered the bastions of knowledge when it came to ELA there. And I told this individual, I said, hey, our babies, they don't even know fundamental or foundational grammar. How am I to teach them the love of words and literacy and literature and all of this if they can't even understand the basic workings of grammar? And this person looked at me and said, well, we're not grammar teachers. And besides, reading is not a 21st century skill. Did your eyes get as big as mine? Because I looked at her and I said, have you lost your mind? Who fed you that? And how dare you throw it back up as if it's true? And she said, it isn't, because we have technology. And I thought, technology and literacy, those are not mutually exclusive things. Even if you want to learn how to drive, you have to take the test, right? And let's say you pass that. Well, you've got to read the street signs. I said, wait a minute. And this life is full of contractual obligations that we make. A lot of us sometimes make these contractual obligations without us even knowing that we've made them. Do you not need to know how to read? So at that point, I realized two things. I realized, one, I didn't have any help. 2, that I was put there for this specific reason. And so when I went home, I prayed. And I said, Lord, I don't need comfort. I don't need consoling. I need a plan. And he gave me a plan. Started off with this. And I'll share this with you because this is a big part of this witness. This is a big part of this testimony. He said they have to write every day. Boom. And I continue to seek guidance. Because look, if the students knew, if they were at a level, then I can take them from that level and go on higher. But because they were not, I had no idea how to teach them how to read. Because that was extensively where we were. The levels of my students were from, it ran the gamut. I had those who could not read or write at all. And I had English second language students. Now, a couple of them were high flyers. But then I had those who were still trying to navigate, the English language and then learn all of the information, right? And then I had those who were mind you, I'm in the 8th grade. And we had students who were on a 4th grade, 6th grade level. And we did have a couple of high flyers, very few and far in between. So we began this process. And every day I would seek to find out what to do, because what I understood was that I didn't know. And if I was in that position, then I was put there for a purpose, which means that I had to leave this space better than how I found it. That's in one of my previous videos. So I was not going to just pass them along and sit with it and say, oh, I didn't create this problem, so I'm not accountable, and let's all eat a cookie. I don't mind the cookies, but I do mind not doing what you could to change the situation. So I did everything I could. And if I tell you, I was met with such fire. Oh my gosh. It was such fire against it, but I was adamant. I knew that I was there for those particular students. I knew I was there for that time. And within that 1 year, I found this out a year later because they asked me not to come back for reasons. There is no reason. There was no reason as far as they were concerned. But all of the knowledge, I had to do research and learn how the brain works. How do they learn? I had students with dyslexia who presented with dyslexia and some with dysgraphia. So I had to learn what that was like. I'm sorry it's getting dark. Yeah, look, I'll hurry up because it's getting dark. But I had to learn about that and create worksheets, videos, things like that, that would help them, to inculcate the information. But I had to learn how their brain works, how they learn how to read. But I also had to teach the regular curriculum during that time. So it was a process of navigating, feeding, these processing in, teaching them, and at the same time, building their knowledge, their 8th grade knowledge. Well, I tell you what, now I'm going to go back. So within 1 year, I learned, a year later, a couple of my students contacted me. I learned that they tested the highest as the highest performers in the school district within 1 year. I am so incredibly proud of them. And they were so incredibly astute and smart because they took the challenge. I had the challenge. And they took it. Man, and they excelled. And then came the wilderness. I could not find a job for 2 years. I was like, are you kidding me? And you don't want to hire me? Why come? It's coming through. And no matter what I sent out so many resumes. They all came back. We're sorry. And I asked God, I said, hey, Is this me? What's happening? Am I in error? Am I doing something wrong? What am I doing? I said, no. But he told me to keep working. See, because with that 8th grade class, it was the catalyst that pulled it all together. What I had been working on and learning about for the previous 4 years, trying to understand our school systems, understanding um, why they, the rationale behind closing neighborhood schools, the implications of that. Still couldn't figure out how their reading and literacy levels were consistently falling and failing. If you're aware, if each year they tells you their levels are consistently falling and failing. I couldn't figure that out. But this time period was key because it had ignited something. I woke up in the middle of the night thinking of things to create to help them understand. I was working. So you know how the Titanic was when they say that they were playing the music, the orchestra was playing the music as the ship was sinking. It was falling all around me. And I heard, keep going. Keep going. One of my students, when they were playing a word game against each other, they the two girls were on the team were really just whooping up this other team because they knew how to write cursive. So cursive is quicker. And finally, one of the students Patrick, he realized what was going on. And he said, Miss Williams, you got to teach us how to write cursive. I said, you guys don't know how to write cursive? He said, no. I got to turn the slide on. That is better. He said, no, we don't know how to write cursive. I said, oh my goodness. He said, so you got to teach us, okay? I said, I definitely will. And so then began the process. How do I teach them how to write cursive? What does that look like? What's the best, program or system or steps? And as I began to do that, I developed this program called Ninja Cursive. It was 30-day Ninja Cursive. Now, this is during this time, this wilderness time. I want you to understand this. All of this is going on, well, the pre-wilderness. So maybe we call that the desert. Yeah, because it was dry. Nothing was happening. So this is the desert, the pre-wilderness time. And it turns out that our state enacted a law that required 3rd to 5th grade students to learn cursive. Put an emergency effect on there. And I thought, wait a minute, I have this. But remember, he kept telling me in the midst of the rejections, in the midst of things falling apart, he kept saying, keep going. Keep going. Because he will give you witty ideas of inventions. And I got to tell you, I was having so much fun. That creative aspect was on display, and I was able to work and challenge and build. My curriculum was approved by the State Department of Education. And that should be it is an amazing thing. I believe I may be the first African American woman to do that. And maybe the first state-based publisher to do that. But this is all in this dry period because I lost my house. I was in a rental. Couldn't pay that after a period of time. got an eviction. And I'm like, Lord, what is this? And I kept seeking him, saying, am I in the right space? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? And he kept saying, yes, keep going. And one thing he asked me one time, he said, would you give it all up for me? I said, I absolutely would. And then the day came that it was a challenge because the eviction was expedited and it was just me. And I had no one to help. And so I'm sitting there and I hear it again. So will you still give it up for me? And I laughed out loud. I said, you know what? I would. And I will. And lo and behold, help came to salvage some of the things, but not all. And there were a few friends, a few people who tried to help. And they were in situations themselves where they could not provide all of the help that I needed, but they tried. And I'm so very grateful for them. A few friends and a few family members. I was really grateful for that. But there were a lot of people who had the opportunity to help. And when I say help, the help I was asking for was, would you look at what I've created? If you see any value, would you share it with your sphere of influence, with your connects? That's the type of help that I was looking for. So whether they did or did not help when they could or could not, I'm going to tell you that that doesn't even really weigh in anything now. Because the point is, everything that I've gone through, there's a promise that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and who are the called according to his purpose. I was going to go through this wilderness. I had to. And so when this came about, I thought, but Lord, I'm in a wilderness. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, we have to learn, and I've shared this with friends over time, and I share this with myself. You have to learn to work and wait well. Work and wait well. Because the amazing part of this is that if he took you through the wilderness or to the wilderness, he is responsible for keeping you in there and providing for you. And I've learned so much during that period of time. And there are people around. I still tutored. I still, worked with students, and I was still working on the things that he's given me. On my Ready to Read program. On my brain grooves and writing moves. What I used for that 8th grade ELA class, he had me put it into a format. So now it is available to anyone who wants their student to go through this program and learn what I taught these classes. I wouldn't have known that had I not gone through that time. Was there something on me? Looked like there was something on me. I wouldn't have known that. I give you one incident and I'm going to let you go. We're about at the 30 mark. I had to sleep in my car, which I was grateful for because there are a lot of people who did not have anything to sleep in. They didn't have a car. I did. But then there was, I don't know what you call those things, but the big, there's a truck that cleaned off the parking lot. Now, and I heard it, I was asleep and I heard it late at night and saw the lights, and I was parked in a spot. And sometime I'll tell you about that, how I knew where to be. And this thing I hear coming in the light. You know, like the sound. And I said, I'm not moving. And several times over it happened, and I was like, I'm not moving. And one time he came close, and I didn't move. And then when he backed up and turned, I said, I reveled in that. I wasn't moving. And the Holy Spirit said, why do you revel at that? I thought, oh my gosh. And it dawned on me that I was being cantankerous because I was in the wilderness. And that was something that I could control. You're not going to hit my car. You're not going to move me. But see, that was that person's job. And whether I was in the wilderness or not, I was in the way of them being excellent. I was willfully in the way of them being excellent. When I realized that, I said, Lord, I repent. Because I got a little, what's that? I think, what does Zig Ziglar call that? Stinking thinking? That's some stinking thinking. So I repented for that. I said, Lord, give me another chance to do the right thing. Give me another chance. Didn't see him for a couple of days, and then he came by. I heard him in the back, and I woke up because see, it came late, and I would be asleep. I'd fallen asleep by that time, and so I woke up, turned the car on, and when it came down the side, I moved, and I think I startled it because remember I was staunch. But then I moved, got out of the way. And when he swung by, he didn't even go by the spot. You know what I said? I looked up, I was like, hey, he didn't even go by the spot. Holy Spirit said, patience. So I didn't need to control his response. I just needed to control mine. And if it took him 15, 20 minutes to go do it, then you just wait. Because I was the one who needed to learn that lesson. And we have to be careful that in the wilderness and when we're going through hard times, that we do not become hardened and cantankerous. Gotta watch out for stinking thinking. So he came around, he did it, and went on his way. So we got in a routine. When I heard him, whoo, I would go. One time, I didn't have a lot of gas in my car. See, because it had to, that's how I moved from space to place to place. And most of the people where I was, they had no idea that I lived in my car because they saw me working. They saw me giving. They saw me, encouraging. They wouldn't have known. And I still did tutoring because this is what I do. And so this time, I had, when your hand is less than 0, it was there. And I thought, okay, I hope it doesn't come tonight. And I went to sleep, fell asleep. And I said, oh no. Mm-mm. And he was coming down the side. See, because by this time, there was an expectation. He expected me to move, right? There was an expectation. He expected me to work with him so he can be excellent in what he did. But that hand was low, less than 0. And then I said, oh Lord, I said, I can't do this. And I heard like it was a megaphone in my ear. Can't or won't. I started up the car. Let me move. Let me move. Because see, it was still coming. Let me move. So I'm grateful. Look, I am grateful to be turned in the right direction so that I can get blessed. And I know I need it. I don't know if you think you need it, but I know I need it. And the beauty of that is even in obedience, when the situation and what was going on looked like it was less than 0, he had me covered. He had me covered. So there's nothing bad about the Economic Ninjas Challenge. I believe that a lot of people answered that challenge. And I do not believe that I'm alone in that it was just confirmation. So that's a little bit of my testimony. Where I am, where I'm moving to, this new space that I've been ushered into. I'm excited about still helping and serving. It's what I do. And probably now you're going to see some links or some things, in the description. And I'll share with you in the next video about my programs and, and what I create. You know what? Let me just tell you now. I have a ready to read program, and it is for new readers or those readers who need to rebuild their foundational reading skills. It is a 26-week program, letter focused, video. Each letter has its own video, its own character that I developed on music group. We have to have music in there. And what else did I have? Weekly downloadable writing practice sheets. Games are in the middle of the lessons themselves. And we curated those so that they actually help with repeat knowledge and learning about letter sounds. So it's a phonic focused program. Now, I'll put a link somewhere, or if you send me an email, put your email somewhere. I don't know how I need to do that. But I do offer that you can check it out for a whole week and see if it's something that you like. Um, this is really going off the way. It seems off kilter because I wasn't planning on talking about this now. But we have that as well as let's see, we have options. So you can have a group in, we call them learning pods. But the long and short of it is, my father said that he will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. You're going to go through wildernesses or deserts, but you're going to go through them with him. And when you come out, it will be so much better because you'll understand more about your purpose. You'll understand more about hearing direction. And especially if you're called to do something that has mass implications, you're going to have to be prepared for that. So listen, this is getting to 40 something minutes. I thank you for joining. I thank you for hanging out. Comment on anything. If you've gone through this, if you're going through this, I want to encourage you that the wilderness is not a place to be despised. Not at all. But it is a place to discover His love, His provision, His calling, gosh, His protection. I'm Latanya. Thank you for joining me. And remember, your daddy loves you today. Bye now.